Hello, everyone. This is Fernando with Texas United Realty United Real Estate. Thank you for joining our Thursday, January 12th meeting. I do appreciate that. Today I'm going to be hosting the meeting. My name is Fernando Loera, and we have a guest speaker named Shelly Loera, who will also be doing a presentation regarding paperless pipeline. Just some helpful tips first. Let's do some housekeeping. If you have not received any emails from our broker for a while, it's probably because there's the email system is probably flagging them as spam. So there's a helpful tips here that you can use and follow if you have a Gmail account or Outlook account or AOL account. One thing that Shelly did notice is that if you're using Gmail, which the majority of agents are using Gmail, we've been noticing that the emails from our brokerage is being deposited into a folder called promotions. So what I would like you to do, if you're noticing that you're having issues receiving emails from us, look at your promotions folder. It kind of acts like the spam folder. Go in there and see if there's a email from us. Usually Carol Drake's name appears. It could be Trend Graphics, I believe. So once you see one, you spot an email in promotions, go ahead and open it up. And then there's a button that says not promotions. So click on that button and it should resolve that problem going forward. Also, we have two private Facebook groups. Here's the QR codes for those. One is for United Real Estate on the left side, and the other one's for Texas United Realty on the right-hand side. You can scan it. In the future, we are going to be trying to merge these two together, but for right now, we have two groups, but we tend to always duplicate the messages that we're communicating with our agents. So ensure that you have that in there. Also, just a reminder regarding our conference in Orlando, Florida, which is scheduled for September 10th and 12th. I did a webinar last week on it. We're really hoping that a lot of agents can attend this web conference in Orlando, Florida. You can also leverage piggyback a vacation on this too. Keep in mind it is tax deductible. It's a business expense, but keep in mind, make sure you confirm with your CPA on that. So the agenda for tonight, setting your goals for 2023. I'm going to be going over those. But first, we're going to have our guest speaker, Shelly, to talk about how to use Paperless Pipeline for submitting paperwork for your transactions. So, Shelly.
Hey everyone. Hey guys, please make sure your microphones are on mute so that way there's no background noise. So I hope everyone's doing all right tonight. I'm going to just go over a quick little overview of Paperless Pipeline. I'm not going to do an in-depth version of it since I did one yesterday, but if you guys have any questions, if you tried it after we spoke, you're more than welcome to ask me those. I am going to show you how to get into Paperless, of course. This is the Bullseye Dash platform. This is your dashboard. This is what you're first going to see when you log in. And then, of course, we're going to scroll down until we see the Paperless transaction management icon. So let me sign in. I haven't done this one yet. Did anyone try to create a transaction yesterday and have any questions they want to ask me before I go through this? You can unmute yourself if you have a question. Alrighty. Well, of course, this is what your dashboard looks like on Paperless Pipeline. When you are coming here to create a transaction, you're just going to select this Add Transaction button up here. We're going to fill out the transaction name or property address. And with this box here, we want a complete address with the city and zip. If you are representing a buyer or a tenant and there is no address just yet, please put in the buyer/tenant's name. If you have a MLS ID number, go ahead and put that here. If you don't, you can leave it blank. Status and label are the ones that we really have to explain. Status, I'm gonna go over real quick. If you represent a buyer, you select buyer contract. If you represent a tenant, you select lease tenant representation. If you represent a landlord, you're gonna select listing lease. And if you are representing a seller, you're gonna select listing sale. Under label, you're really only gonna use 2 labels. So if you do any type of lease transaction, either in a apartment, if you represent a landlord or tenant, you're gonna select lease. And then for sales are all sales transactions. So if you represent the buyer or the seller, you're gonna select sale. And then the listing date and expiration date, these are only applicable if you have a listing. Acceptance dates are only for sales transactions. And the close date is very important in all transactions. If you have a lease, you select the start date of the lease as the closing date. All of these dates here, earnest money inspection, loan approval, appraisal, and option period, these are all optional dates. These are helpful tools that Paperless provided for us to help you stay organized with your transactions. So if you would like to include these dates, you're more than welcome to. And then I'm going to scroll down to the buyer seller pricing section. This is where we want you to input the list price, the sales price, and the total commission that us as a brokerage will be receiving along with your commission. The commission summary is just a good place to leave notes for us. If you're only getting 2% commission, if you are getting any BTSAs, or if you are giving a buyer contribution or seller contribution, this is where you're going to want to note that. And then for the assign agents part, you're going to want to assign the transaction to you. So make sure you put in your name and you select what side you're on, either listing or buying. So once you do that, then you can see that it has been assigned. If you have a mentor, you're going to want to write their name in that same box you searched up your own name and select them on the same side of the transaction as you designated yourself as. And then we're going to select the make assistant button to the right hand side. And then you're going to select add transaction. So that's the main part of it. And then once you do that, it's going to look something similar to this. It's going to have your name and the mentor's name. And then this is where you're going to upload documents, add your contacts. Contacts, like I said yesterday, are very important. If you do not put in contacts here, this could delay your CDA. It doesn't matter what side of the company you're on, Texas United or United, this can delay your CDA. So it's very important, especially who you represent and the title company. Those are the top 2 because I have to send out this DA to someone. So that information needs to be in there and it needs to be correct. So make sure you guys get that in there. Okay, I'm going to show you guys real quick how to upload documents. I know a lot of the Texas United agents are on here again, so I'm going to just show you guys how to do that through Dotloop. So if you once you create your transaction and you're ready to upload, you're going to select this upload docs button here on the blue toolbar. And you can either drag and drop documents here, or you can use that transaction specific email address. Now remember, this email address is only for this transaction that I made, not for the next one. It's not for the previous one. So anything you send to this email address is only for this transaction. Every transaction you create will have a new email address. So in order to copy it, I'm just going to right click on that email address and select copy email address. Now you can go into Dotloop, whatever transaction you have. I like to add this contact as an admin for the role. And then I put the name because I think Dotloop asks for a first name and last name. So I always just type in PPL space PPL, which just stands for Paperless Pipeline. And then once I do that, I select all the documents I want to send and I share them with attached PDFs. So that way they show up in my received emails section. And this shows you everything that I have sent and if I have attached anything. If you do not select that attach PDF button, you will not see an attachment. Therefore, your documents will not be in here. Now, once you have those documents in there, you're going to have to assign them, which I know can be a little difficult for people. So I'm just going to go over that real quick. I'm gonna upload a document here. Ah, it's jumping around. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. So I selected my document. This is how it's gonna look when you send over a document as well from .loop, transaction desk, or zip forms. You're going to have to either rename the document or you keep it the way you have it. I always suggest that we rename the document to whatever type of document you have uploaded. So you can do this for each one individually whenever you send them over. So for this one, I'm gonna say this one is the HOA form. So as soon as I type in the property subject, I do just little short abbreviations of what the actual form name is. It will automatically populate, and my permission category will also populate. This permission category is under sell because it is a document that has both the buyer and the seller signature on it. So you do the permission category based on what type of document it is. If you have a buyer's rep and all of the other buyer docs, you're going to want to select a buyer as the category. If you have a listing agreement and all the other listing docs, you want to select listing. So then once I have that, I'm going to select upload document. And now I'm going to have my document here. That was just a quick little overview. Does anybody have any questions before I hand this over to Fernando?
Yes, I have one, Shelley.
Yes, ma'am.
You just mentioned if it's not connected to a buyer, but
Mhm.
rather you're representing a seller. On the far right, I forget what it's called, the category.
Mhm.
Yeah. Excuse me. You said put listing, not sale. It would be listing.
If it's a listing document, so a listing agreement, either exclusive right to sell, exclusive right to lease, plus that IABS and all the other notices and stuff, that would all go under listing. If it's a document that both the buyer and the seller sign, so the contract, the seller's disclosure, HOA, mud form, things like that.
That's
Lease
the
agreement,
sale. Okay.
Addendum rental flood disclosure,
Yep.
agreement between brokers, things like that would be under sale. So it's something that both parties sign on
Very
the
good. Very good.
transaction.
Thank you for that.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you.
Yes,
Oh, go ahead.
yes. I don't understand the path going from .loop to paperless pipeline.
So it's just adding in a new contact on .loop, and you're using the transaction specific email address that you get every time you create a file on Paperless. You're just adding this as a contact. Instead of sending it to the TER contracts email, you are sending it to this email address here, for your transaction specifically.
Okay, so you add a new contact,
Yes.
which is going to be identified as .loop if you're in .loop.
If you use .loop, transaction desk, zip forms, you're adding a new contact, you're titling it Paperless Pipeline, so you know who you're sending it to. It asks for a role, so you select admin, and then you paste in this email address that you copied from Paper.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thanks.
Yes, Michelle?
Shelley,
Mhm.
so at what point in time are we doing this paperless thing at the start of a transaction once
As
we
soon
get?
as you get a buyer's rep or a listing agreement signed, you want to go ahead and create this transaction. Now we might beat you to this transaction because we have to send out emails to everybody who has a new listing, pending sale, things like that. So we could beat you to it, and you'll get an email from us saying, hey, congratulations on your new listing, or hey, congratulations on your pending sale. And with that email, you can honestly attach PDFs to that email that we had originally sent you, and it will automatically upload into the system as well. So anytime we send you guys a correction or anything like that, if you have anything missing, you can attach it to that email that we sent, and it will automatically upload them to the system as well. So you don't have to go back and forth if you have it on hand.
Okay, thank you, Shelley.
All right, well, I'm going to hand this over to my dad. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Great, thank you, Shelley. All right, so now let's go into setting goals. One thing that that I want to ensure is that we're already in January, and I typically like to recommend all agents to always set up their goals in the beginning of like December. That way they can execute in January. So that's one thing that we should be focusing on. You know, the market right now, you know, we were in a seller's market, and then it became a buyer's market, and it's just always changing, always fluctuating. But as far as us realtors, you know, we live off of commissions and leads and what have you. So we need to always stay focused on our business. So here's a business plan that you can follow. Some of you already have business plans, but this could be something that you can add to your business goal settings. Or if it's new to you, then we can execute. Things that I can recommend regarding marketing yourself is contact sellers at FSBO.com. FSBO stands for salebyowner.com. It's a website that is meant for sellers to sell property by themselves without using a realtor. They tend not to like realtors. Some of them hate realtors, but we're in a situation right now where buyers aren't buying houses and sellers are taking longer to sell. As you probably noticed that there's a lot of open houses going on. So this is a good opportunity for us if you want to focus on listing appointments, is to contact for sale by owners. Of course, they're going to hang up on you when you introduce yourself. For example, if you say, hello, this is Fernando with Texas Night Realty, click, and they click the phone on you. So it doesn't matter, you know, just have thick skin and just go on to the next one. So one thing that I would suggest if you use FSBO, or if you're going to contact FSBO.com, is if you can do a drive-by and look at the property from the outside, especially if you're searching in your area where you live, possibly do a CMA report before you call them. And then the main thing you're trying to do here is you're conversing with them, but you would like to schedule an appointment to sell their house. So that's one thing. Another one is you can go into Matrix. Matrix is a database, and you can go into previous years for renters. And for example, if you do a search in Matrix for all of January and February of 2022, of course they're going to be expiring because they typically do a 12-month term lease. You can send them letters saying, hey, you know, this is Fernando with Texas Night Realty. You're thinking about buying or renewing your lease. Another program that we've spoken in the past is Divvy Homes. There's another one called Ribbon Homes as well. They focus a lot on rent to own type of transactions. So that's something that I would advise you to go into that website, learn about it. They have webinars there for realtors, and you can find out more information. We also have a webinar that we did last year on that. Open houses are real good to do once per week. If not a lot of you are using Op City Referral, that's another program that you can use to get leads. Attend social events, you know, network is very important. Visit builders. You know, if there's a builder in your area, go visit them. Say, hey, this is Fernando. I live around the neighborhood. Just wondering how everything's going. How's business doing? Are you offering any concessions or any special deals for buyers? Another thing that's going to happen with the builders is that they've been trying to increase their inventory, but now when there's less buyers buying, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be in desperate mode. I recently was contacted by KB Homes And KB Homes wants me to continue to conduct open houses for them in Magnolia. So I've been doing open houses for them. So once you establish a relationship with these builders, especially the salespeople, and you know, become connected, they may ask you to do open houses for them. Visit title companies and lenders, you know, find out, hey, lender, what's the latest and greatest interest rate right now? I have here fernandoletta.com on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, you can follow me as well. Post on your social media platforms, you know, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's all sorts of platforms that you can do. Be involved in your community, be a leader. What I've done in my community back in the old days was I noticed that the HOA would pass out pool tags in May for the pool that we have in the neighborhood. And they had this table, they had the one of the directors with a piece of paper and a list of names of who qualifies to get a pool tag. And I thought to myself, wow, how boring that is. So I approached the HOA, and I know a lot of people don't like the HOA, but I approached the HOA and said, hey, can we create some kind of event for this or make it more exciting for pool tags? And they go, what do you mean? I said, why don't we rent some moonwalks and barbecue and you know, and have an event, you know, and then they can get their pool tags. And they said, well, that's a great idea, but who's going to barbecue? I said, well, I'll barbecue, you know, because I love barbecuing. I said, what do we barbecue? I said, well, hot dogs and hamburgers, you know, something easy. I said, as long as you guys pay for everything, I'll just do the labor. And they're like, that's a great idea, Fernando. And then I said, well, I need to ask you a favor. I said, they go, what? I said, well, can I bring a canopy with my for sale sign from Texas United Realty and pass out, you know, gift cards? And they're like, sure, do whatever you want. And that's how I started doing stuff like that. Volunteering, that's really helpful to do as well. Be involved in your community. Another thing that I tell people is if you're a pet lover or cat lover, whatever it is, motorcycle lover, you know, like for example, if CVS is doing free vaccinations for pets or dogs in a certain area and you're passing by, call that a CVS and ask them for information regarding, you know, hours and what they're doing and, you know, how many days, and then post it on your Facebook. Say, hey guys, here on Spring Cypress and 249, they're having free vaccinations at CVS. Here's the address. You know, be an informed agent. Another thing that you need to focus on is, you know, your business goals. How many houses do you want to sell? You know, how many houses do you want to rent out? You know, try to have something in your mind, because it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and before you go to a restaurant, your family is going, okay, where are we going to go? What time are we going to leave? What are we going to eat? Who's going to drive? That's a goals. And that's just to go to a restaurant. So we all need goals in our lives. So besides business goals, you also need to do personal goals, you know. Personal goals, staying healthy by exercising, eating healthy meals, walk 20 minutes a day, meditate, whatever your personal goals are, you know, but you need to have this written down somewhere. Also, what I do a lot is I really strongly believe in manifestation, vision boards, laws of attraction. But one thing that I follow on as far as the statement here is that pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So that's something that to ponder. One thing that I do want all of y'all to try to watch is in the Learning Academy. Maybe some of you have seen him, Jared James. He's a great speaker, motivational speaker, talks about the changing market. It's located in the Learning Academy within Bullseye. And one thing that he talks about, well, he talks about several things. But one thing that he talks about is OpCity, and he says that there's about 20 sites that give out leads with no upfront fees, similar to OpCity. And this is something that if you guys are only subscribed to OpCity, why don't you subscribe to others? You know, I typically tell agents, try to do 3 to 5 out of here. If you don't know who they are or what they're about, Google them. You know, nowadays, well, several years now, we can Google and find out about them. There's always people talking either bad about them or good about them. So that's something that you need to focus on. But one thing that Jared James tells us is own the land and that you're building on. And I'm like, what does that really mean, own the land? Well, what he's referring to is when you're involved with OpCity or any of those lead generation companies, there's a clause in there that says, for example, for OpCity says that they own the client for 2 years, 2 calendar years. So that means that whenever they provide you the lead, it's still their customer for 2 years. That means that you still have to pay them the percentage every time they buy a house or sell a house. But after the 2 years, guess what? Now they're your customer. So now the rented land becomes a database. And so that database now belongs to you. Okay. So yes, you do have to suffer for 2 years, but hey, you know, that's something that you need to do. Another thing that Jared James has is he gives you this free spreadsheet. And this is a fascinating spreadsheet. And this many agents ask me, Fernando, what do I need to do daily? What do I have to do to make X amount of dollars? So Jared James provides this spreadsheet for free when you watch his video located in Learning Academy. And for example, if you wanted to make $50,000, the GCI, which stands for gross commission income, is 50,000. Of course, you can type in what you made last year. And then here in this column, in this row here, this year I want to sell, let's just say you want to sell 3 listings. Okay, I want to do 3 listings. And then you type what you did last year. And then how many buyers do you want to have? Well, I want to have, 5. And what it does is it creates this formula of how many listing appointments and new buyer appointments you need. And it breaks it down by per month and per week. So when you move that information over to the next section of his spreadsheet, you see number of conversations needed. Now, a lot of us think of how many appointments do we need? But what I like about this spreadsheet is you need conversations. How many conversations do you need in order to create an appointment? Okay. So for example, here we also type in how many weeks do you plan to work for the entire year? I put 50 weeks because I want to in a year, there's 52 weeks, right? So I want to take a 2-week vacation. So that's why I put 50. But see at the bottom here, it says conversations per week is 2. Conversations per month is 7. If you do this consistently, you will make $50,000. That's what it's saying. So when you look at the spreadsheet, you go, okay, so I need to have 2 conversations per week with two different people. It's not an appointment. And the conversation example might be, hey, just want to let you know I started my business or I have a real estate business. Don't use the phrase, I have a real estate license. Don't use that. Say, I started my real estate business or I have a real estate business. And I was just wondering don't say if you're thinking about buying or selling. It's better if you say, do you know anyone that is considering buying or selling or renting? Please let them know that I'm here to assist with them. How does that make it sound to that person that you're talking to? They're like, oh, he's asking me a favor, right? You're not telling them, hey, consider me to buy or sell. You're saying, do you know anyone that's maybe considering buying or selling? And that's what and you need to practice this as a flow that comes out of your mouth just very, very naturally. And one thing that I suggest is practice with your family, practice with your friends, practice with other realtors. You can practice with me too, Fernando. And you can say, hey, Fernando, I just want to do this pitch. I usually call it the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch consists of 1 minute of telling someone a message, and then the elevator doors open and you leave. That's the elevator pitch. So this is a real handy spreadsheet. I would strongly suggest everyone to have this spreadsheet. Start filling it out, because we all need to make money. We all have bills. We want to be out of debt. We want to go on vacation. There's a lot of things that we need to do, that we want to do. Okay. So let's try to focus on these goals. All right. Let's see if I got anything else. I think that's all I have. Any questions? One question I do have is, do you have your goals already written down? Another thing that I suggest too, whenever you're with your family, is ask your family for assistance. Tell them, hey guys, I'm trying to run this real estate business. What I used to do back in the old days is on Sundays at 6:30 when we ate dinner, we all sat around. I had 3 kids. I still have 3 kids, but they were smaller. And we were all I would say, okay, guys, I need to start my real estate business and I need your assistance. And my kids would help me. They would be passing out business cards. They would be telling their teachers at school that my daddy is a realtor. There was times where the teacher would say, hey, we need a sponsor because we're having an event and we need somebody to buy one of those iPads or something like that. We need somebody. And so they would ask me, Dad, can you do that? I go, sure. And then they would blast my name. Fernando Loera, realtor, sponsored this iPad. And, so that was good marketing. Again, it was a business expense. I see somebody that says that they already have their goals. Good job, Mr. Grubbs. Any questions, guys? I know everybody's getting tired and okay. If you do want to ask a question, just unmute your phones or your devices. Okay, we'll be wrapping up. Again, I have this.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Well, thank you. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's done now.